We are live. We are live. Let me just refresh here and we'll get going. Let's see. I think we got some people in the chat too. Give me 1 second here. All right. Guys, welcome to Wade's Ventures YouTube channel. Holy cow, we've got people in chat already. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining today. I know it's a little earlier than expected, but I tell you what, we have a fantastic show ahead of us. I've got one of my special guests on the interview today. I'm sure you guys have already kind of get an idea who it is, but let's say hello to a few people in chat, and then we'll let this amazing guest introduce himself. Grandma Wrinkles, you were second this time in chat, by the way. You have one of my favorite names of all time. Sell quick, ship quick. You've got an awesome name too. Welcome in. Barry, what's going on? Tony, what's going on? So guys, let's get into this. You guys are joining Wade's Ventures YouTube channel. Now it isn't a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm inviting a very well-known, amazing guest tonight. A little different than normal. And I'm going to let him introduce himself to the crowd here.
What's going on, guys? My name is Chris. I am now going by Daily Refinement, but I used to be 10K on the Bay. I actually still have the same goal of 10K on the Bay. It's just that I switched my channel to be more about improvement so I can involve other people. So there's people that, want to share their journey with me. So I'm making it more based for regular people, not just resellers now. But I'm enjoying it. I am a multi-platform seller. I do eBay, Amazon, and Poshmark, newly Poshmark, and just getting into it and really enjoying diversifying and learning online income streams. And also I have a YouTube channel that a lot of you guys hopefully subscribe to, but I'm here to hang out.
So Chris, you have a YouTube channel, sir. And I went on your YouTube channel to see if you changed your Gmail. And guys, he has you're 3 videos shy of 300 videos on YouTube about reselling.
It's a lot.
That is incredible. That is incredible. So guys, this is going to be a little different. And I want to be upfront and honest. You guys all know Chris. I'm sure you guys are subscribed to his YouTube channel. If you're not, I have no idea what you're doing, and you should definitely do that. And I'll put his link in chat. But this isn't going to be this is going to be about Chris. I want to learn a little bit about him. And so if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in chat. I'll try to answer those bad boys, and Chris will too. And let's get started. So Chris, I want to give them a little background on how we met. So sure. Long story short, I joined your Patreon, which you still have, by the way, right? Okay. I joined your Patreon, and the reason I wanted to join Chris's Patreon is I was thinking about starting I thought about doing a lot of social media, and that was the beginning stages for me. And so I figured, okay, if I can join Chris's Patreon, because the reason that you join a Patreon is not only to gather information about whoever you're paying to, show content and to learn from, but also to gain access to that individual, because you want one-on-one support. And that's kind of what I wanted. So I joined his Patreon, and I remember messaging him, and then I was sitting in my cubicle at work, guys. I was sitting there. I messaged him, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, can I call you in 45 minutes?" Which I thought was amazing, because at the time I was, not on social media. I was just some random guy that paid him money to get his content. And then he asked to call me, and then we talked for about an hour about, everything from reselling to social media. So I thought, Chris, you tell me, I thought that was so amazing that I was able to reach out to you, and then you decided to call me on your phone, your actual phone, and we talked for an hour. And I thought that was amazing. I will never forget that. And you're the reason why I'm on social media. So I wanted to start off with the interview with just saying thank you for supporting me in that regard, and everything you've done for me thus far. I wanted to let everybody know that kind of how we met.
That is super awesome. And we still text pretty regularly. So we still keep in touch. So I recognize right away when you start YouTube that you start to reach way more people than you can even. It's insane how many people listen and don't talk or message you. So I heard from an earlier creator, you should create 2 circles, one closer so you can get to know people, and then one wider audience that you can serve. And that way you can get to know people better. So I was excited when I first started my Patreon. I mean, even now, it's only serving 100 people, so I have time to really serve those people, get to know them, see exactly what they're doing, and it's helped me level up a millionfold because I get to see what they're doing, learn from their mistakes, and I get to share all 100 people's mistakes with each other, and it's very fun. And the personal touch is really important because on YouTube, the comment section can be pretty brutal. So you got to have, some friends that hold you up because the social media road is very bumpy.
It is. So let's get into it, Chris. I want to ask you. So I know you're full time, and typically I ask these questions because, as you know, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I invite amazing people to my channel that are not YouTube or Insta famous yet, to help them grow. But for you, like, tell me a little bit about how I want to go back to where did you learn about eBay? Like, because I remember the exact moment I learned about eBay and that you can sell on eBay. When was that for you? Like, when did you decide, hey, I should sell on eBay?
I actually, believe it or not, I worked for eBay in 2003. My first job in college was actually at eBay. I was in the trust and safety team. So my job was to end items that were basically Nazi related or items that were prohibited from being sold on eBay. So I didn't at that time actually even sell on it. I was on the platform ending people's items. I was the person sending the email saying this item has been removed because you're not following policy. Did that for 90 days. It was too much to do that and school at the same time. So I just went back to school. And then years later, we're full circle right back here. I'm a full-time reseller for eBay. But when I moved to New York City in 2007, I had a really good friend of mine that said, "Can I stay with you?" And I said, "Sure." He came over and he's like, "Do you realize where you live?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "You live in Harlem. This is like one of the top places in the country for sneakers, in the world even." At the time, there was only one House of Hoops in the country. Now they're like in almost every single Foot Locker, but it was at that location. And he's like, "Hey, watch this. Come with me in the morning." We woke up, we went there. I waited in line about Tony the Tiger dunk highs, I remember, and I made $100 in like 10 seconds. We literally listed them in line, and they sold right away. All people wanted to see was the receipt as the photo. They were ready to buy. Now, obviously, it's a little more scary to sell Nike, but back then, the receipt was proof of purchase. People were happy, and I got hooked. And my buddy has unlimited money, so we did about 900,000 in 9 months on eBay.
That's incredible.
He just financed the whole thing. He was just like, "Let's just go around every day." I quit my job. All we did was walk around and buy sneakers all day long, and wait in line. And it was like, when he left, I stopped doing eBay. So I didn't realize you don't have to have that much capital outlay to do it. So, I didn't even get back into it until I watched some videos from Steve Rakin, Prof Sales, started thrifting, got back into it, realized that you can just start with and scale up from nothing essentially.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because one thing I love about you is you adapt. And I've noticed even the last 6 months of how you've changed doing, business on eBay, and the fact that you're on Poshmark now, crushing it. And we'll talk about that. So really, really cool. So after you started doing these, it sounds like you moved back. Did you move from back to California and then decided to start up eBay, or how did that work?
So as soon as I was settling into New York, I met a girl and I moved 3,000 miles for her to California, and then immediately didn't work out because that's how life works.
Mm-hmm.
So I found myself here. I didn't know what to do. I had a job that I needed a car because you need a car in California. So I applied to a Lexus dealership for a job to sell cars on eBay. Amazingly, I just thought, I know how to do that already. I've been doing that. It's related. So I went there. I sold tons of cars on eBay, but most notably, I sold the H1 and I sold the Lexus LFA for 419 grand on eBay. So insane. So that was fun. And then I left the car business because my boss actually said I should be an entrepreneur, even though it was he's like, "It's going to suck. You're leaving a 6-figure job, but it's okay because we need entrepreneurs. There's plenty of people who can work for entrepreneurs. You're not one of them, even though you make me a lot of money. Please go do that." So I tried it. It was really brutal. I started a Facebook marketing company. It struggled for 2 years. It never made me enough money to do anything except for live. and I discovered reselling, and I'm very, very lucky because that Facebook marketing company paid my bills for like the first 9 months while I was starting all this stuff. Now it doesn't quite pay my bills, but I still have it, and it's still, it just gave me the runway. That's why when people ask me what should I do first, I always say get a job.
Honestly, Chris, I'm right there with you on that. I could have quit. As you know, I'm full time now, and this is actually my third day, so I don't have any clout yet. But, um, I was a big fan of work as much as you can, get your eBay store up. Like, I think everybody should work and then get at least 100,000 listed in eBay in their store. That way, when they transition, it's a lot smoother process, and you've got a little bit of capital. You've already got stuff listed. I think that's really cool. How did you meet your soon-to-be wife? I think I've never actually. I don't know that. Like, I know a little bit about her, but how did you meet her in California?
Her uncle bought a car for me. So he came in, he ordered a car. White wasn't available because it was during the 2012 tsunami. So there was no white paint. I remember because it was really unusual that for white on cars, there's a lot of pearlescent built into the paint. And I didn't know this, but white paint has white, a pearlescent, and then a clear coat on top. And the pearlescent factory was damaged during the tsunami, so there was no white and no red. And he was like, I only want white or red. So it took forever to get the car. So I ended up talking to her over the course of like 2 months. And then she asked me out, which is great because you're not supposed to ask out customers in any industry. So it worked out. So that was 7 years ago. And she's charging me a quarter carat a year for not proposing. So this year is it. I'm going to do it this year.
I was watching Billions last night. I don't know if you're into that show. I'm addicted to that show. One thing that I did do the last 6 months is I cut out TV entirely except 2 shows. I couldn't do it. Billions was one of them. And I thought about you a little bit in that show briefly because, if you don't watch it, you may not know, but he pulled out, as you guys know, you go to jewelers and typically there's a back room that has all the really expensive diamonds in some of the older buildings. And they pull out this rack and it's got these massive diamonds. And I thought Chris is going to have to buy one of those big diamonds if he's prolonging any longer. So
I know for sure
those $500,000 rocks on your finger.
That's
but
right.
okay, so what did you go to college for? Did you end up graduating? Did you go to college? What was your major?
My major was entrepreneurship. So I went to the University of Utah. I was a brand new major. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And they said, why don't you try the new entrepreneurship program? So I went into it. I actually went to school for 4 years with Hustle at Home Mom. We were the same age, went to the same school, and we did not meet ever. So I don't know if that's because she was super shy or what the issue was, but it is a big school, 40,000 people. And in that school, it actually was a little bit confusing because it was built around building a business plan, raising money, et cetera, which is not very practical because, at graduation, the entrepreneurs that were there were saying, this is school, but we wish, 5 to 10 years of failure upon you. This is literally what he said on stage. One of the guys, Jack Johnson, he runs this big real estate development. He said, I wish 10 years of failure upon you so you don't become a little shit on stage in front of like 40,000, because he's like, that's what happens to entrepreneurs that make it their first time. They just become huge dicks because it's not normally that easy. But the people who suck the first 10 years, they usually do really well. And I feel like it's been 10 years. So I've been struggling this entire time. Now, suddenly, like everything's starting to work.
We now know, the crowd now knows that now we know why you're not married yet. She was waiting to see if you would succeed at something before she would actually marry you, right?
That's right. She was just planting the seed.
Smart. Okay, so you've got a lot to give, and I've learned a lot from you. And tell me a little bit about, and the reason I ask these personal questions is I kind of want to know how you are as a reseller and how eBay integrates into your life, and kind of a little bit about your background. But for those of you who don't know, like, do you have any brothers, sisters? I know you have one brother, right?
I have one younger brother, and he lives in San Francisco. He is a golf pro at the Olympic Club. So very cool, very good golfer. So he's going to be Class A soon, which is the highest designation for golf pros that are not touring. So he's got a golf career going, and we're pretty close. So that's the background there.
Is he as tall as you?
It's taller.
It's taller.
Taller than me, yeah.
And are you any good at golfing?
Great. I'm great at golf. So if we want to go, I got
Oh,
you.
dude, I couldn't go. I couldn't go. Guys, I had to literally they have to replant the grass behind me when I'm golfing. They literally have somebody replanting the grass. It's what do they call those? You just
Divots.
yeah. I'm that guy. I used to go with like a cigar and just act cool, but in all reality I was horrible. So, really bad golfer. In fact, I literally have like maybe an inch caked of dust on my golf clubs. It's horrible. All right, so Chris, tell me a little bit about like what are you? Because I know you're on eBay, you're on Poshmark. What types of platforms are you on? Is it only those two currently, or are you looking to expand? I know you're looking at other platforms as well. Maybe Macari.
So I love Mercari. I love Depop. It's fun to learn other platforms because it's actually strengthening my eBay. I still want eBay as my main platform because I feel like it's the most stable. I like the salvage business. I like pre-owned salvage business. eBay is king. You'll probably always be king because they're just first to market and they have every single genre and vertical available to sell. I like it. But that being said, it's also very outdated and there's not a lot of new features. And the features that they release don't are random, unfortunately, from my perspective. So it's difficult for me to just stay. I'm just not getting the right feedback from like a person that's just learning the industry from only selling on eBay. So I've basically learned different things. Like for example, I have best offer on all my items, but I don't accept best offers. So when somebody makes an offer, I will decline it with the message, the best offer system is not working. Please, I changed the buy it now price to your item. Now the thing is, it's working, but it's not working for me. So I just put it in there because I don't want to deal with it. I like when immediate payment is required. And what'll happen is it gives them a sense of urgency. So they have to pay right away. Otherwise, somebody else can swoop in. And it's happened. I've lowered the price and somebody else has bought it before. And that's okay with me. And I learned that from Poshmark, which has an auto bill setup. When you make an offer on Poshmark, you actually cannot cancel it. If you accept it and then they cancel, even though people say there's a 3-hour rule, there's not a 3-hour rule. If you accept an offer and then you mail it out, Poshmark's got you covered. They will try and recover the package for you, but it's an actual real offer that they have to honor. So that's cool. And then also I'm working with Chaz, Side Hustle Pros, who's I think he's near you, just to work on getting an Amazon shipment in each week. And I've really been focused on building up a really, really strong Amazon account because I'm very, very keen on being certified in every platform, even if you don't use it. Like I'm chosen a career of selling stuff online. I want to know, I want to have all the certifications, all the badges so that I know how to do them. And then I feel like I can also be knowledgeable when people are asking me questions too.
So you want to be like the Boy Scouts of reselling?
I want to be the Boy Scouts of reselling. And that being said, I recognize right away that not right away. I recognize now you can't be good at all of them. So, you only have so much time. So I just want to get the badge, get a little bit of a taste. But I do eventually want Amazon to be larger, but not right now, in a different stage.
Yeah. Well, Side Hustle Pros are amazing guys. They're like 20 minutes from me. Met him in person. Really cool guy. Same person online as he is in person. So I know that he's going to eBay Open. Well, there's a lot of cool people going to eBay Open. If you guys are going to eBay Open, let me know in chat so you guys can reach out to us. So Chris, do you ever, so basically have you ever got to 1,000 or 10,000 items yet? 8,000.
So right now I'm still at 8,000. So I'm moving all the items from my non-public store into the low-key Husky store, which will change the daily refinement shortly. So I had to bank the name and then switch it over from one of my accounts. So everything will be daily refinement across the board. And you guys can, I'm basically moving at the pace of 250 listings a week of growth. And I'm actually going to try something new, Wade. And I wanted to ask your opinion on this, but normally I grow every single month. And I've decided not to do that. For the next 3 months, I'm going to grow 250 listings per week, and that's it. I'm not going to try to grow more than that. I'm actually just going to maintain that because the sell-through rate of being on 2 platforms is already above what I'm wanting.
I
So
think it'll help with quality issues too. But yeah, I agree. I think it's especially since you're doing Amazon, you've got Posh, you're doing eBay, and you're dabbling in a few others. So I think it's a great time to learn platforms, and you're still growing at that rate. So let's see. So you're only going to have one store on eBay. I think you're all moving everything to the Loki Husky.
everything is moving to one. And another thing, the reason why I want to do that is one exciting thing about Poshmark, which I love, is the fact that the fees are higher. So the fees are 10% higher than eBay, actually 11% higher, but shipping is always paid for by the buyer. So it's a streamlined buying experience where every item is the same shipping, which I love. I think that's so easy for customers. But the thing is, twice now, somebody has said, I apologize. I found it a cheaper price on a different website. I can't buy the item, but that other website was still me. It was the same person. They made the same offer on both sites. I accepted it on eBay because it's 11% less fees. And so I'm really digging that. So that's what made me want to switch everything to the same brand so I can send people the thing. Because on Poshmark, they actually let you put your website and your IG and your YouTube right on it. On YouTube, on eBay, you are not allowed to do outside platform. But on Poshmark, the CEO even said, I want somebody to build $100 million company using my traffic. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not going to dog on an entrepreneur that's going to make that work. Go for it. Use my platform to build your own company. I cannot believe you can literally put your own website on there.
Yeah, I've been dabbling, as you know, in Poshmark, guys. When the day, and I promise you this, the day that Chris said he was starting Poshmark, I don't remember which video it was. You were already on Poshmark for a while, and I just basically had to join Poshmark. I'm like 83% from being an ambassador, which I don't know exactly what that does for you other than get more followers. But yeah, so I love Poshmark because any priority box that it fits in, you can basically throw it in there and mail it. I think that's amazing. One thing that I screwed up on Poshmark was I was kind of thinking eBay, and my prices are a little too high, not taking into consideration that they pay the shipping. So I had to adjust that. But so that being said, Chris, I'm trying to think of some good questions to ask you that possibly you haven't already done on your channel. So one thing that I have is we have a question, and I'll get to that, hip flipping mama. But Chris, what are you passionate about selling? So if you can sell anything on eBay, not taking pricing consideration, what would it be?
Old stuff is my favorite stuff to sell. So like, I want to build a business off of replenishables and common items, but I want to build my margin and my fun off of one-off items. Like this morning, I went through 300 pairs of old jeans to learn about vintage Levi's. I found one orange tab from the 80s. I was looking at different buttons. I was looking at different stitching, and I really enjoy the history of stuff. So like me figuring out what things are worth in the marketplace, finding that person in Switzerland that wants to add this vintage Levi's to their collection is cool to me. So I think there's a mixture of being a picker with being a business person that I love about it. But my favorite stuff to sell is old stuff.
Guys, I'm kind of in the same thinking too, because think about this. So let's say the market tanked today, right? It possibly could, right? We don't know, right? But if the market tanked today, if you're selling this bread and butter stuff you can get every single day, you're probably not going to do as well as somebody that is selling stuff that is needed. For example, I've said this in one of my live streams, but there's a gentleman that sells car parts, but he doesn't sell accessories. He sells like sensors and engine parts, stuff like that you have to have your car running. The stuff that he knows, even if the market tanks or things slow down, he's still going to sell quite a bit. And although vintage items don't really fall in that category of must needs, it's still, one-offs that you're going to have a little bit easier time selling. So I'm kind of trying to focus, when I go full time here in the next few months, finding either replenishables or stuff that people need, not necessarily want. And so that's kind of one of my goals. I think that's cool though. I do a lot of vintage stuff, and I'm trying to get in the vintage game. I saw one of your posts where you're cutting some of the pants and making them into shorts and selling them on Poshmark. I thought that was really cool.
Very fun.
So Chris, what is your soon to be wife? What does your girlfriend think about you selling on eBay? Because she has a pretty cool job. What does she think of you selling on eBay and other platforms, being a reseller in general?
So she's a corporate lady, and I'm going to answer Justin's question in this answer, which is she wants me to focus on new, because it's just easier to scale, right? You can get more of one item, you can order from China, you can build a brand. She's like, you're good at social media, you should utilize that. So I agree. So I'm listening to her. She also told me, gave me the best advice ever for YouTube, which is you need to make a channel that that it's fun enough for you to do 5 episodes a week, because all her favorite bloggers and vloggers or whatever make videos almost every single day. So she's like, if it's not fun for you, you're not going to do it, because it's, first of all, it's not going to pay for a long time. So it needs to be fun. And then it's going to be a good way for you to journal, because I like journaling. So I'm like, okay, I'll get on there. I don't mind sharing failures. Now I really don't mind. When I first started, I minded a little bit, but now whatever. I can show you guys that it's not all roses on the way up. But like, that advice is really good. And right now she feels a lot safer now that I'm learning more platforms. I think when I get an Amazon shipment consistently going in, I feel like she'll be completely at peace. But at first she was like, I told her that I wasn't going to do entrepreneurship without the goal of trying to make 500,000 per month, per year, because otherwise I can get a 6-figure job here and not have to put her through the stress of like wondering if we're going to get paid or not. So I was like, just hang in there. I promise I'll aim higher to make it worth it, because otherwise, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Let's answer some of these questions so we don't get too bogged down here. You can only choose one place to source retail arbitrage or thrift stores to make 2 to 3K a month. What would it be?
So Otto, or is it Otto or Otto? I have the plan for you. You guys ready? Exclusive to Wade's channel. So
there we go.
If you guys, I would 100% do thrift. And the reason is because my favorite thing to build an eBay business on is 10 to 40, spending $10 and selling it for 40, because it's very common to get the best stuff at retail Goodwill and sell it for $40, 40 to 60 or 100 or whatever. For me, I like that a lot. So if you can go to 50 stores a week, it can be the same store more than one time and get 2 items per store. If you can be relentless and go sourcing 30 hours and 10 hours a week, do the listing, then, or if you want to go to the Goodwill outlet and you spend 3 hours and bring home 10 items instead of 1 hour and bringing home 100 items, that's what I would do and recommend for you guys, because I've done both. I've done everything, actually. I've ordered pallets. I've tried tons of stuff, done storage auctions, tried it all. Last year was the year of doing everything and falling on my face. But if I was going to tell you how to make 2 to 3 grand, I would do 100% thrift, because there's so little capital involved in the beginning. Then as soon as you get enough money, switch to adding in some new.
And I would echo the fact that when you thrift, you have a greater chance of finding a few more home runs than I think if you were to do retail arbitrage, to help kind of your bankroll there. And thrifting kind of falls in that same thing I was talking about, where if things slow down, you're more likely to get one-offs, people that people want. So let's see here we go. We have a insurance question for you, Chris. And I know, guys, I got called out today to do a little basketball, and I'm thinking about going to 24 Hour Fitness and signing up today and showing you guys how Wade's Ventures shoots some hoops. And I thought about even filming it too. I should probably have that on film. But what are 2 health insurance companies that you recommend, and what's the expense? I'm sure you did a little research on that, right?
I'm currently on my, it technically qualifies a domestic partnership, so I can do that, even though we don't live together. The way that my P.O Box is where we live, so like we're kind of hacking the system right now. But I like Obamacare, but I think that it's about $300 to $350 for me to get my own insurance, and about $600 for the both of us if I were going to be the one to cover it with our age bracket. So it is expensive. That's another reason why I think you guys should aim large. If you're going to be doing reselling, you should have a big plan so you can fail and still make good money. And also, I don't necessarily recommend this, but I like Rally Root's self-insurance idea of just banking money and self-insuring. Again, you need to be a little bit more of an advanced reseller to make enough money to do that. It's not like if you're just getting by, do not do that. You have to be a little bit abundant to self-insure because it can get scary, or get a high deductible plan.
Same here. I'm, lucky enough to be on Ashley's. So, but so here, Chris, I know that you're out and about, you're out in the world, right? You're out playing basketball, and somebody asks you, what do you do for a living? And you say you sell on eBay. Like, what? Their eyes kind of glaze over, because a lot of people don't know eBay is like still around, right? They think of like, what is that? The 40-Year-Old Virgin, the movie where she had an eBay store. People just don't realize eBay is still around. So what do people think? Like, what if people that you run into when you say you sell on eBay, or what does your family, maybe your extended family, think when you say you sell on eBay?
They think I'm homeless, basically, because when you say that you sell stuff on eBay, there's the stereotypical eBay person's like a picker, right? They they go to auctions, or they find stuff randomly. They're not known really as e-commerce entrepreneurs. Now, if you were to say I sell on Amazon, people would say, okay, like, what kind of products do you source, or what's your situation? But eBay sounds like you a professional garage sale auctioneer, right? So it's not very respected. So I just say I run an online store. So when they ask me more, I'm like, I find the best platforms like Amazon or eBay to market the stuff I want to sell. And then usually that makes you the most interesting person at the party, though, already. So you don't have to push too hard. You can give a story of something that you found and sold for a lot that's usually better than most stories. So
Well, Ashley, my beautiful wife, made a little comment I had to read, but you haven't played basketball in a while, so you may want to have an ambulance on standby. does your
not nice,
yeah. So okay, that's interesting. I definitely, that's one goal for me, guys, going full time. I really want to focus on health, that's for sure. So Hit Flippin' Mama did a YouTube video with me. But Chris, are you afraid of losing following when you change your name? What do you think?
No. Well, okay. I'm very blessed because YouTube is not like my main income, so it's like not that big a deal, and I'd rather do a channel that's fun for me. So for me, my show is a talk show. It's not a vlog. It's not fancy. I don't do haul videos. It's really just me randomly rambling, right? People like hearing my opinion, even though it may be wrong. Most of the time it's wrong. So I like that concept. And then there are certain things that really strike me as like, I like daily improvement. I like movement in a progressive fashion. And so my following actually grew insignificantly. And I knew that was going to happen because the audience of people who are not resellers is much larger. So I knew when I turned the dial from 10K on the Bay, which nobody knows what that means, except for people who resell, to daily refinement, it sounds like motivation.com. It sounds like, whatever people hustle fuel, right? And so like, that's what I want to be. That I want to be able to inspire people to do something extra or more. I actually want to convince people to do more than they need. I think in the reselling community, for me, when I was like, okay, I need to replace my income, it didn't work as well as I need to build something that's bigger than me. And that just basically quadrupled my income. And I was like, I need to make more than I need so that if my friend has a knee surgery and he doesn't have any money, I can write a check. I know it sounds weird, but like, I was like, I can't help anybody right now. If somebody were to ask me for money for something, I could not just help them and not have to not be able to go to bed that night. I want to be abundant enough that something happens to someone, I can just write a check and be fine.
How many people in chat? Let me know, guys. But how many people in chat has some knee problems right now? Chris, 10K on the Bay, gmail.com. I'm joking.
That's right.
Okay, so the beautiful thing, Chris, is I think that as resellers, sometimes all we think about is reselling when there's so many different avenues to make money out there. And I really like what you just said. think bigger than yourself, because at the end of the day, it is getting expensive. Are you thinking about possibly in the next few years having little guys run around the house? Thinking about having kids, Chris?
1.6 in the next 7 years, right? So my girlfriend's super young. She wants to have kids by 30. She's 26. So I have not that long. So it's time. It's time to do it. So all the ducks are in a row. I want to have a couple. So there's not going to be too many I think at this point I'm comfortable slowly scaling to that amount of money. And I think that she's also working full time right now and saving money. So at this point, I'm this is a little odd for me to say, because it feels weird not needing to upgrade my income.
Just sustaining.
I feel like there's nothing I can buy that will make me feel better. It just sounds so weird to me, because it used to drive me so much. I wanted this car or this watch or whatever, and now I feel the same.
So it's funny, like you said that, because a few years ago I was really about what, for me it was like, what can I buy to make myself feel good, right? Big house, car, like really cool bar and all that. Now items like doesn't, inventory items, things that you can buy, things that you can do. I'm more about like trying to build, like, go on cruises and do stuff for memories and experiences and travel. That's what I want to do now. It's not necessarily items or things that I want to buy. You have to change your mindset, and it saved me a ton of money. Wade, what was your job? So I'm okay to say that now, because I'm no longer work there, but I was a business exec for T-Mobile. Our titles have changed over the years. I was been there for 9 years. I made, what was it? 2014, I made about 168,000, and then right around that for the last few years. And long story short, I handled some of the corporate companies like Nike, Columbia Sportswear was my account. Some of the bigger nonprofits were something that I managed. So that was basically my job. It wasn't anything glamorous. I was just a glorified manager of those accounts that are with T-Mobile. So, and that was my job. Oh, we got some Verizon people in here, guys. It used to offend me. Now it doesn't. So I know Chris has T-Mobile though, so that's why he's on my channel right now. I love
T-Mobile. I knew it. I can't change it as long as I know you.
Yeah. I should have went on Chris's account and added a few $100 on there, but didn't do that. So, Chris, tell me a little bit about. I know you're working on your health, right? So, give me like from the point that you go to bed to the point that you wake up, that whole day. Like, how do you structure your day for everything? I'm really curious. Like, so you work out in the mornings, you ship, like, how's your day go?
Okay, so first of all, I drink 2 of these a day. This is 64 ounces, so about 128 ounces of water. Mm-hmm. So health has become insanely important to me, and I'm getting older, so I definitely don't recover as fast. And I just realized something really miraculous. I know it's not rocket science, but for me, whenever I do something really well, I want to reward myself with basically an unhealthy meal and some beer. That's like my jam. If I get a big sale, my first reaction is to go get a cheeseburger and 2 to 4 beers, right? That's like my favorite thing to do. When I quit sales, I actually organically stopped drinking. I didn't quit drinking, but I just wasn't stressed out. When you're not negotiating every day in a corporate job, in a corporate setting, I'm only negotiating with people who make me a lowball offer. And that's nothing compared to 4-hour negotiation in sales, right? So my stress levels went way down. And so, but my first reaction when something good happens is to go get some unhealthy food. So I've switched that. Now I'm like rewarding myself with a workout, rewarding myself with something that's healthy, but in the Bay Area, healthy food is expensive. So that's just the way I've been moving right now, is trying to replace an unhealthy beer and cheeseburger with like some type of expensive salad. That'll make me feel better. And then so my schedule is actually pretty set. So I think you guys can see, I've shared my schedule before. I either wake up at 4:30 because I'm trying to be like hustle at home mom and try it, but it's honestly very hard for me. My main thing is 5:45. Wake up at 5:45, I have 2 mastermind calls in the morning, followed by trying to get 50 to 100 things listed on platforms or finding it. Then 4 p.m. I do YouTube, and the rest of the time I hang out with my girlfriend. So Saturday, all day I hang out with her. Tuesday and Thursday, all evening, no cell phone. So I don't know if you guys do that, but actually, maybe you should try this. When I go out with her, she just takes my phone as soon as I see her. So I don't have there's no distraction. I have nothing. I feel naked. I don't have it with me. And it's just actually nice to unplug for a second. And the worst thing that can happen is 10 negative feedback, which is fine, right? And that's never even happened to me, but I feel like that would be the worst thing that could happen to me.
Do you so you're hanging out with her? I see all these amazing restaurants you're going to eat. Like what type of stuff do you like doing outside of reselling? Do you
Okay.
I'm kind of curious.
I love this. So we've been dating for 7 years, and we've gone on 13 vacations a year the whole time. So we go on vacation every couple of weeks somewhere, just the two of us, do something special, keep track of it. I have a very detailed relationship journal. So I'm super into documenting that too, privately. My girlfriend's way more outgoing than me, but she's very private. So it's cool. It's nice that we get to do this, spend a lot of time together, travel. In the years I was building up my business, we traveled way less. But we still travel, but it was more like go have a picnic somewhere, and then for a day trip instead of flying somewhere. But I think it's important to go see a bunch of stuff. Agreed. I am experience based as well. I love doing travel. I love meeting people. And I think I have done a pretty decent job at giving people more value than I ask for. And so I have the law of reciprocation has taken care of me. I just try to do more for people, not expecting anything in return, but it gives you something way more in return. If you want more, give more. So for us, she's also getting us more in the charity, which I like. Like we volunteered at this all Black Baptist church. It was so weird for us because we've never been the one before. We're the only Asian people there, and like they were serving dinners, and we were like, let's put the stuff here, let's put the stuff there. And they're like, you guys need to calm down. It doesn't need to be that efficient. Mm-hmm. Turn it off for a second. It was just funny. But yeah, I'm trying to basically get in the position to give, travel, learn about people. It's very cool.
Yeah, you're a rare bird. Not only are you Asian, but you're what, 6'3"?
I'm 6'2". No, and that helps as an Asian guy.
That's awesome. Sorry, I had to throw that out there.
No, I have to point this out because that's my best skill. My best skill that's brought me the most stuff in my life is just being tall. It's like I have the horrible trait of looking smarter than I am. I wish it was the complete opposite. I wish I looked really stupid, but I was really smart. But because of my height, I always look like I'm in charge, and it's a horrible position to be in because most of the time I don't know anything.
Yeah. Am I echoing or let me see 1 second here.
Let me see if I can. I don't know if it's me.
Okay. So, Chris, you're playing basketball, and I know this is off topic, but are you playing pickup games or are you just shooting around?
Both. Mostly just shooting around because I got to work on my game, but I like it. And right now I'm running a lot because I hate running. So that's the reason that I'm doing it. I've hated running my entire life, and I listen to Navy SEALs talking about waking up and doing what they hate, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. I want to try to challenge myself.
So no more echoing. That's good. Thank you, Hip Flippin' Mama. So, all right, guys. So we have about 20 more minutes. Put some questions in chat. Chris, I always ask this question: how has social media changed your life? Now, the reason I ask this is I would like to know, like, if I took away your phone and I only gave you the ability to sell and do the basic stuff, but you didn't have any access to social media, no YouTube, like, how has social media changed your life, and how has it helped you in your reselling game?
Wow. I think social media, the number one thing that social media has done for me is with a combination of the 4 agreements, the book, was it taught me that when people speak, it is a reflection of them, not you. So when I'm talking, it's a reflection of me. And that has been the most useful thing when negotiating, when talking to people with reselling, with the post office guy. I can put myself in their shoes whenever they say something like, oh, it's been a rough day or something, I can try to empathize, learn from them, see why, what's going on. Are you guys understaffed as usual or whatever? Try to make some joke or something to get to know people. And I always talk about on my channel that you need 8 or 10 people that you know to make sourcing easier. If they already know you, you have an opportunity to get a deal no one knows about. If they like you, they're going to offer you, they can offer you a discount that no one else gets. You can get an unfair advantage if you know somebody. Social media is just that magnified, right? You have so many people out there. So like when you, and it made me be more careful with my words because you never know who you're going to offend. And like, for example, I didn't know what the Confederate flag looked like. I literally wore the Confederate flag on a t-shirt and didn't realize it was offensive. Like, so, I mean, that's, you'll quickly find out on social media if you do something wrong, people will slap you. And it's good because once you realize that when people are talking, it's them, not you, you're all good.
Have you tried to teach your brother how to resell?
My brother's great at reselling. So he's got it in his blood. He's just a corporate man.
Yeah. What about so tell me a little bit about your when you're growing up. Like I understand that you came from a interesting situation from your parents. Like did you grow up with a bunch of money? Like give us a little background on how you grew up as a kid.
Sure. My parents owned a restaurant in Utah, which just barely stopped it, maybe almost a year ago now. And they were entrepreneurial, kind of a latchkey kid. So both my parents worked full time their whole lives. So um, my brother and I just hung out with us. So we're really close. Didn't see my parents too much. Classic Asian parents, very strict. As soon as I got a car, I basically pieced out from my family. I mean, unfortunately, but like I had so much FOMO when I got a car. I was like, I can't do this anymore because um, it's too heavy. I like didn't get to do anything. I grew up, I was doing violin. I was like learning, they put me in different schools to learn stuff. I didn't want to do any of it. And I'm one of those kids that like, as soon as I didn't have to do any of those things, I didn't. And I actually, I do not dislike my parents for the way that they raised me. I'm totally 100% grateful. I actually think if you're not grateful, you're not able to be at peace. But it was a little bit rough. But as soon as I got a car, I opened up, and I remember this is something I don't really share, Wade, but I had 3 friends, and when I got a car, I was like, hey, you guys have liked the same chick as long as I've known you, right? I'm going to go tell her right now that you guys like her and didn't do anything for the past 7 years. And I'm going to run for class president, and I'm going to win. And the worst case scenario is that I'm going to lose you 3 as friends, and that's fine because I can just start over. So losing 3 out of 3 that's so few. I'm just going to start over. You guys have been such a, like, let's go do something. Let's be different. Like, we've been doing the same thing since we were 9. We're 16 now. And so I ran, I became president. Those guys are really mad at me because I straight up went to that girl and told her. They hated me until I don't, now we're all cool, including the girl, but like they came out of their shells. It was all good. We grew out of it. And that starting then, I just became my own person. I wasn't like what my parents forced me to do.
So do you still, is your parents still in Utah?
Actually, this is scary, and I haven't talked about this on social media. This is actually really heavy, and I don't know if I want to share it, but I'm going to. Both my parents committed suicide just this last year. So that's insane. Okay. And that happened not that long ago. Last time I talked to my parents was November. It's actually pretty dramatic, very, very dramatic. But it didn't, I don't know. I wasn't super close to my parents, but I did really, really take to heart. There's a gentleman named CT Fletcher. He's a muscle builder. He's a bodybuilder, and he was saying he had a heart attack, and his parents, like, he had a heart attack, and what he did was he didn't die. He went to his dad and said, like, "Hey, Dad, I just want to let you know I forgive you for all the bad stuff you did to me." Um, and his dad was like, I don't care. Why are you telling me? Like, I don't care. And then he said to himself, okay, this is insane because all these years, all the pain I've suffered from my parents was only hurting me. it didn't hurt my parents. They treated me like crap, and only hurt him. And once he forgave himself and his parents for treating him like that, he became fine. So like that was a good story for me. I heard that before that happened to my parents. So, it made me feel a lot really, I was more at peace already. And then okay, so originally the reason why I suffered so much is because I thought the way they treated me was my fault. And now that all the social media stuff of learning that when people talk, it's just them, all that stuff is very intense. But my parents, I would say, if you were to compare them to most people, they would be considered bad people. But I don't hold it against them. I'm not mad at them. Like, I'm just like, cool. So kind of heavy. I don't want to bring this is kind of a heavy topic, guys, but I mean, that's happened to me. So I'm embracing it. It's not an issue. My brother and I are very close, but not a huge thing.
Well, first of all, I kind of, I can't relate to you in any way, shape, or form because I lost my dad when I was 4, so I wasn't, old enough to really understand my real dad. But in sense for you, I think it's really cool that you're able to forgive and you're super close to your brother. So that's amazing. And I appreciate you sharing that too. Cause the whole point of this interview is people know you as the reseller, Chris, and I want them to get to know you as the person. So, and then also ask some reselling questions in regards to that as well. Cause I know a lot of people have questions. So, Chris, what, if I can turn back time, let's say a year ago, what would you do differently for either social media or reselling? Like, what would you tell yourself that you would do different then than you are now?
I would this is the same advice I would have given to myself if I was a child. So I grew up thinking the American dream, right? You can be whatever you want. And that was a little bit of false information. I wish I had known at an earlier age that you can do only a few things and that time is more precious and you should be very selective when you decide on things. And I think that that's important to realize as a kid. You can be anything but not everything, and that's what I would have learned. I would have basically tried some different stuff to learn from it, but not I tried to get into everything that I did, and that is not a thing. So you want to pick and choose the things that you really like, do a few things here, and I think that's very important because if I would have known as a child you can only do a few things, you can only be good at potentially just one thing, I would have been more selective. I would have been a little different. I would have been more choosy. I think, especially now, you can see how serious kids are because they recognize how things are changing. The world is changing. It's scary. So I can see it now that it's not as nonchalant as before. People are very serious.
So we have Hip Flip and Mama said, I'm going to give you a cyber hug. So
thank you.
That's really cool. Give you a cyber hug, Hip Flip and Mama.
Awesome.
So we only have a few more moments, Chris. I know that I kind of talked to you about this, but Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays on my show, we invite amazing guests. Whether they have 1 follower, 5 followers, 10 followers, it doesn't matter to me. I want to get the diamonds in the rough, the people that are lurking in the shadows that resell, and get them on my channel and hopefully inspire them to start a YouTube channel. Because as you know, when I went on YouTube, your YouTube channel the first time for storage units, I was extremely nervous. It was my first live show I've ever done. And it was with somebody that had a ton of followers already, a ton of people in chat. So I wanted to spend the next 4 or 5 minutes and ask you a few questions about starting your YouTube channel.
Sounds good.
And how you can help these people that are just starting. Because just like you said, how kind of, in the same content, you want to help people, and then it kind of propels you high as well if you bring value and don't ask anything in return. And I want to help a lot of these people. For example, Hip Flip and Mama's in here. We have Jenamine in here. Lisa's going to be on my channel. We have so many people that has done an interview with me and are starting their YouTube channels from scratch. So give us a couple tips. Give us a couple tips, a couple nuggets to help start a reselling channel on YouTube.
Oh man, I have so many tips for you guys. So one thing I think is very important is to recognize that you're having a huge impact, and most people don't know that. So you don't realize how big of an impact you are having. So I had a little bit of a meltdown probably 6, 7 months ago, or I mean 4 months ago, I had a meltdown. People on social media were getting under my nerves. I went off the deep end. I made a video basically calling all these people out. I was dramatic, and I'm not normally like that. I'm usually pretty zen. But what happened was all these people I had never talked to ever came out of the woodworks and saying, "Hey, Chris, calm down. Don't worry about it. You're helping a lot of people. I've never had a chance to say thank you, but now it looks like you're going through some rough times. I want to just reach out." So I was like, okay. Um, and that really helped me get to peace, because you don't recognize how many people you're helping that don't have a chance to comment back there, especially if you have a how-to channel. People will join, they'll learn a bunch about a specific topic, and you are helping them, and there's nothing you can do more than help people make money. That's gonna, an extra $500 really changes a family. So if you're just starting a channel, I recommend you network. So I went from, my social media career has been very fast because I have been very lucky to ride on the backs of other entrepreneurs. I go into their channel, I network on every single person's um, that I thought was useful, and I tried to answer comments for them in their comment section. I tried to be respectful. I was in their live chats talking to them, supporting them. If they have merch, I would pick it up. Trying to get in there, meet people, network, provide value, and then it's organic. People will say, "Hey, do you want to come on my show?" So that's a way to get in. And I want you to also realize, I have so many tips for this. When people don't respond, it's because they're busy. Usually people are busy. They don't respond. Keep being persistent. They're gonna notice. People notice how many times you've reached out to them. And at this point, it's hard because I have more than 300 emails a day from social media, and I'm trying to manage it. And people will get very impatient and very angry if I don't answer quickly. But it's not like super easy to like answer quickly. So just be patient with people. Respond respectfully over time. People will notice you. You can do collaborations. You cannot do a channel by yourself.
So I want to echo a few things. One, I honestly got my start, and I've grown quite a bit. So the way that it worked for me was I started three or four videos. That's it. I'm at 47 videos now, to give you guys an idea. So I started 3 or 4 videos, and then I dropped off because I realized, one, I was doing highly edited videos, which took forever, and it was taking a lot of time out. Of course, I had a full-time job at the time, but that being said, I didn't see, for me, like, I like to see results quick, right? Whatever I'm doing, I'm a little bit competitive in that regard. So I didn't see the results. I dropped off for like 3 or 4 months, didn't do any videos at all. And then I started getting re-engaged and re-engaged. And had I not been on Chris's channel 2 or 3 times, I don't think I would have continued this YouTube channel, because I wouldn't have saw any results. It takes a lot of work. And so that being said, that's the reason why I created Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, is to help, I don't know if you guys have ever played blackjack, and hopefully I can get Chris on the tables when we go to Vegas, but one thing that they call on blackjack, there's many terms, but one of them is a hump hand, meaning if you're betting a $5 bet minimum each time, the house is going to take all your money eventually. You're there for a good time. But sometimes you need to put a lot of chips on that, and you either win or you lose. But if you win that, that's going to get you over the hill. And that's the same concept with YouTube. You've got to work really hard to get over the first 100 subscribers, first 1,000 subscribers, then you move on. And so networking is key. I think that's number one. Do you have a couple more tips for us?
Yes. So another thing that is very difficult about YouTube is consistently creating content, right? So for a lot of my Instagram, a lot of my YouTube shows are questions, because I'm trying to drive engagement. I'll say like, how do you determine your goals? What stuff do you like to sell? Where do you get health insurance? Questions like, how do you do your taxes? I'll have guests come on and speak as an expert on a specific topic. But I'll tell you that the first year, probably the first 6 months, 6 days a week, I had a scheduled show with another person to make it easier for me. And I think I've had more than 150 people on my show. So a lot of people, a lot of collaboration. It makes it easier when you can bounce ideas off of each other. And then also 3 ideas a piece is about the max a person can really take in. So you don't want to overwhelm people. I did a couple of videos that were like 100 tips right in a row, and it was super fun, but then you can't consistently do that. That's like once in a while. Like, you just be consistent, be yourself, and People listen to you when they're driving. There's a lot of time now because especially when autonomous cars arrive or people are taking the bus to work or whatever, they have so much time to listen to you. And so I just think it's important to make your content with great audio quality. I've been sleeping on that for a long time. Finally upgrading some of my equipment, but do your audio really well so people can hear you. That's probably my main complaint, is that the audio is not higher quality.
Chris, last question, then we'll be respectful of your time. I know I see all those UPS bins back there.
Mhm.
It looks like you've been heavily shipping, huh? So, and by the way, real quick, as you still have that same USPS guy that picks up all your shipments, or do you have a different one?
No, he doesn't like me, so I go manually. I manually go to the post office.
Even after the gift card?
He just took the gift card and said that's the least you can do. So there's nothing. I just don't like dealing with my mail guy. Plus, I get it. Like, his truck is really small. He just doesn't like it.
Okay, so all right, guys. So Chris, I got a few emails, and it's very common to have resellers that are having a tough time, whether it's in their life, their business. They need capital. They're just not having a great experience with, and it could be anything, right? And we're trying to lift their spirits. Get them, let them know that there is a path to success if you work hard. So I always leave all our interviews, and I want to do that with you too. Give us a little bit of words of wisdom, and it can be anything, but something that people can take home if they're having a bad experience or having a bad time, whether it's reselling or life. I feel like you're very privy to that, and you may have something really cool for us to end this call on. So,
yeah, I will end on this thought, which is, for me, I'm looking at it like, this is something I think it really helps, which is if you treat your brain like a 5-star hotel. Okay, so you have a 5-star hotel. Wade, your brain is a 5-star hotel. You get to decide who lives in that hotel. Okay, there's going to be people who are in the outside of it, in the lobby or whatever. But don't let people or things or thoughts that suck stay in your 5-star hotel, because you get to choose who stays there. So for me, that's really helped me, because once I have a really, really strong idea of what I want to put in my mind, it's just really helped me, because there's always negativity there. They just don't get to live there permanently. They just hang out. So for you, the biggest limiting factor is always yourself. So this is the last thought that I'm going to have. I think this is very important. So if you were to say, I make $1 million a year. So I've been watching Valuetainment. Last year in the United States, 500,000 people made $1 million or more in the United States. And in the entire history of Mount Everest, only 4,000 people have climbed it. Okay, so it's much easier to make $1 million a year than to climb Mount Everest. And so the thing is, when you say, I make $1 million a year, does that make you feel weird? And if it does, why? And I think this has helped me a lot, because every time I've been upgrading how much I'm worth, and there's a certain point where you start to feel uncomfortable. And for me, to earn $500,000 a year, which is my goal right now, I need to make $250 an hour. And I can tell physically when I start saying I make $200 an hour, I start to feel weird, because I'm like, what am I, a doctor or something? I'm not comfortable making that kind of money. And you have to be comfortable, and you kind of have to tell yourself a lie, like, yes, I'm totally worth that money, so that you can start changing your actions to match that person. And I'm just all about mentality, all about being Zen right now. I think it's super important to upgrade your mind if you want to be successful.
And to add to that, people always say you have to be comfortable with your body, and I think some people have to realize that you have to be comfortable with your thoughts and your minds and your process too. So, well, that being said, I'm going to put Chris's YouTube channel in here. I would guess that 99.9.9 whatever percent of you guys are already subscribed, and but if you're not, make sure you subscribe to Chris's YouTube channel. He's one of my mentors. He's got me started on social media. Had I not done that 45-minute phone call with him, I don't think I would be on social media talking with you today. I'm pretty positive I wouldn't have. So, and if you guys are going to eBay Open, don't be shy. Go up to Chris, even though he's a super tall Asian. He will definitely reach out to you. I will reach out to you, and I'm a small white guy. So 5'10", but so small. And I would love to see you guys. Love to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for joining the channel, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys later. Until next time.